Hey guys, Ethan here from the Garage Built Podcast. Before I start this episode, I will take you through one quick ad from a company I love. And then mixed throughout the episode will be a couple other ones. I want to tell you one quick thing about the ads that I'm doing. These products that I'm talking about are things that I actually use, I actually trust, and I'm actually a massive fan of. If they weren't, I wouldn't talk about them on the podcast. So thank you so much for listening to those, for following the links in my description. And if you find the stuff useful, pick some up for yourself because it directly supports my podcast and you get something cool out of it. So thank you so much. Let's get right into it. You know what sucks is when you're out and about, especially being a business owner or any sort of hard worker, you're going to be out and about and odds are you're probably using your phone or some sort of device for something. I'm thinking door-to-door sales. I'm thinking entrepreneurs. I'm thinking home service. I'm thinking construction. Whatever the case might be, your phone is sadly runs on a battery that will decrease in volume, okay? Your battery is going to run out. And that's why I've been using this. This is a battery pack from Legend Outdoors. Now, these guys are some of the coolest people online, first of all, but their products speak for themselves. This is an absolute powerhouse, pun intended, because it has normal USB right here. It has micro USB right here. It's got, oh, that's crazy, USB-C right here. And for the iPhone users like me, a lightning cable. Maybe I need to upgrade soon. Beyond that, it also has a magnetic charger for if you want to charge wirelessly, and an Apple Watch charger right in the middle. But even better than that, it has a stand here and here, so you can put your phone on a stand, on the magnet charger, and set it up and watch your videos. This thing rocks. And it has tons of battery life, so you can trust that this thing will charge all of your devices and keep you in the game longer. Now, you can pick one of these up from Legend Supply and Legend Outdoors by visiting the link in the description of this podcast below this video or the audio that you're listening to. You can pick one of these up. By clicking that link, you get $5 off your order, and this is the best part, you get entered into a giveaway from Legend Supply. Now, some of the giveaways online are kind of gimmicky. Some of them are, it's a question whether or not you even are going to win anything. That is not the case with Legend. They are giving away this month a Porsche 911 GT3 and $100,000 cash. Are you kidding me? That's a dang good deal, and you should get entered. And the best way to do that is by clicking the link in the description below, picking up something from their site. It can be this, I highly recommend, or something else, and get entered to win. So thank you so much, Legend Supply, for sponsoring this episode. Go enter to win. Today's episode was supposed to be another interview. I interviewed someone I really admire. She's awesome. She's one of the coolest builders I've ever seen. She's just built this crazy cool business. It's legitimately one of my favorite conversations we've had yet. But the audio got corrupted, which is really fun to find out when you hit the editing and it's not salvageable. Total bummer. Absolutely brutal. Kicking the pants to me to make sure all my equipment's working right. It is this time. But instead of forcing a bad episode out to you, I thought it would be even better to tell you why this podcast exists in the first place and tell you kind of why I'm doing this at all. Because I realized I haven't really done that yet. And I feel like that's important. So listen, watch, wherever you're viewing this. I'm super excited to do this today. A little bit of off the cuff kind of guerrilla style marketing here, but we're going to do it, and I think it's going to be fun. So I've got my red, white, and blue monster. I've got my notes up on the TV behind the camera so I can make sure I'm following like an actual pace here. And let's just jump right into it because I'm actually super excited to do this. So why am I doing this podcast in the first place? We're going to go through that, and we're going to talk about a little bit about my story, who I am, why I think I'm a good resource for you, but more than that, why I'm kind of in your seat as the listener. So I'm no different from you, to be completely honest. I'm this on the same journey. I've said that a couple different times. I said that in the last solo episode, but I kind of want to treat this as a bit of a journal for myself. So we're going to start out from the beginning. We're going to catch up to now. And as we go through this together, we'll do this occasionally. I'll kind of talk about some things I'm experiencing, talk about some beyond just breaking down the episodes and breaking down the interviews with the builders that we're talking to. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to kind of talk you through what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm learning, and the things that I'm experiencing every day. So count this as a bit of a Garage Built podcast journal, and it's going to be episode 1. So before we dive right into it, I want to thank you all for listening. Super, super cool to see some of the support. I mentioned this last time too. We got some crazy guests on our lineup. People you guys are legitimately not expecting to be on here. They're going to come on. I'm so excited for it. And cool news. Obviously, I said this before, but we'll say it again. We are out on the following platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, which I think is super cool. YouTube, of course, despite them taking down some of my episodes, almost all of them are on there. And I'm just so excited for that. As well, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, wherever you get all your doom scrolling done. We're going to be on there, and I'm so excited for that. So let's dive right in. Grab my mouse here so I can scroll, because it's helpful to have notes. If you're not doing notes when you're doing stuff like this, or at least like a brainstorm or a breakdown, do that. Good tip. Someone who knows a lot more about this than me definitely helped me with that. I'm not going to hold papers in front of me, so it's going to be right behind you guys on the screen. So where did this all start? Where did this idea even come from? Well, I think it might be genetic, and I'm going to talk about my dad a lot today. And I don't know if he'll ever see this episode, but I hope he does. Dad, I love you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about you today. Eventually, maybe we'll have my dad on. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I've always been fascinated by people who build things. And I'm not talking buildings. I'm not talking necessarily, structures, right? Obviously. I'm talking about things. I'm talking about entrepreneurs, actual construction builders, car people, tradesmen, salespeople, billion-dollar brands, $1 million brands, $10,000 brands. I don't care. I've just been fascinated by people that are builders. And that's the DNA that Garage Built has, that this whole podcast has. And where did that come from? Well, I mentioned this last time too. I'm lucky enough to be born in a place where building things is kind of crucial to the culture. Anybody that says Utah doesn't have culture, that's a complete lie. You come here, drive to Lehigh, go to Silicon Slopes, and look at all the buildings, look at all the names. You've heard of most of them. You've maybe not heard of all of them, but if you're in business, you've heard of most of them. There's some culture, and that's the culture. It's way different than anywhere else, which I love, okay? little mini Silicon Valley, which they call it Silicon Slopes because of that. Anyway, my dad was a huge example of this, and some of his brothers are too. But when I was growing up, my dad was kind of in the middle of starting a business. I'm the oldest child in my family, so I got to kind of see this firsthand. And in a time where my mind was very moldable, I was very attuned to what he was doing, and I was super curious about it. Should have asked more questions then about what he was doing. But in hindsight, I'm like just even more fascinated with what he did. But my dad had been he was high up in a business, but he wanted to build something for himself. And so with some partners out here in Utah, we moved out here, and he ended up starting a business that blew my mind. He had so many people working for him. It was growing. It was thriving. Super, super cool office in Draper, Utah. And it was just the coolest thing ever to me to go to my dad's business. He's the CEO of it, co-founder, and see what he had built. It was this massive thing. And, since then that business did end up getting sold. My dad ended up moving on to work at the company it sold to. ended up leaving there after a little bit and started doing his own things other places, started trying to build other businesses. And despite whether or not those worked out, my dad had this mentality of he wanted to build something. It was more important to him to build something to take care of our family, something that he could be a part of. And he's an ideas guy, which, once again, probably genetic, ingrained itself into me. But beyond that, I saw this like fire inside him when he had good ideas, when he was meeting with people, when he was starting up things, when he was doing projects or talking to people about, hey, this A, B, C, D needs to get done. I feel like we need to do this, this, and this. Whatever it was, like, even if he maybe didn't think that we were listening, I was listening specifically, I was. And it blew my mind. And later in life, it's gone further than that for me. So it's the DNA that I have, for sure. I know that. It's my dad and me, very similar people. And that's the DNA of Garage Built. We're focused here on builders. Some of the people we're going to have on aren't necessarily business owners, aren't necessarily entrepreneurs, but they're building something. And that's super, super key. But who am I? So that's my background. That's where this whole idea was incepted. That's where this whole thing came from. I don't want to treat this like a resume. I don't think you guys care about hearing every company I worked for, how long, and maybe even what I studied in college. It doesn't super matter. But for some context, before anything else, I am a firm believer in Jesus Christ. I am a godly man. I try to be every single day. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it. I'm going to keep it like that. I phrased it a little weird, but I believe so strongly in the power of repentance and faith, and that's number one of anything. Number two, I'm a family man. Me and my wife have a beautiful 1-year-old daughter who we love so, so very, very much, and everything we do is to help her, to help her grow. And eventually our family will grow and we'll have a little bit of a posse behind us. It'll be great. But I'm a family man. I love my parents. I love my siblings too. Super, super huge fan of where I am in the lineup. I'm the oldest, like I said. Puts me in a unique position to, I think, be a builder to them and help them have someone that they can turn to. I hope I'm that way for them. I definitely try. But those are the first two things, God and family. Overall, anything else. Beyond that, growing up, I had this love for cars. I don't know if you can tell that by any of my decor, but I am a car guy. I had a Hot Wheels in my hand from the first professional picture that was ever taken of me that my mom had done. I'll try and find it, but I had Hot Wheels in each hand, and every time we would be driving down the street, my mom would point out a car. I'd correct her because she was wrong. She would be like, this was really funny. They tell this story all the time, and I don't necessarily remember this, but it's been told enough times that it's kind of ingrained itself into who I am. But my mom pointed out I think it was like a retro 2000s Chevy Suburban. And she said, Ethan, look at that Yukon, like that GMC Yukon. Look at that. And I was like, Mom, that is clearly a Chevy Suburban. What are you talking about? And I was like 5. So I was correcting my mom. She would be like, oh, Eth, look at that Honda. I'm like, that's an Acura Integra, Mom. So I don't know what you're talking about. Just crazy, dumb things. Shout out to my Uncle Hunter. Helped ingrain that into me. Taught me what all the cool cars were. Probably showed me Fast and the Furious a little too early. It's all good. But I loved cars. I also loved business. Like I talked about, my dad, watching his businesses grow and shrink and grow, and every process that he went through, every element of what he was thinking and doing, all the calls he made. I loved that, but I also saw all these things growing around me. And I mean, I was a little too young to realize how crucial and how integral to Utah and to everything that I was ever going to be a part of in my work life what I was definitely blind to see what was actually happening and how that would affect me. But I did see my dad. And so I loved the business part of it. In high school, actually, I really wanted to look at marketing because I loved making videos. I had made family videos for vacations and stuff. And I just loved that whole creative process. Super weird. I'm still doing it. Shout out Miss Call, my favorite teacher in all of high school. Just the best. She was our marketing teacher at my high school. And my goodness, the things that she would tell us how to do and then kind of leave us to our own devices to kind of like figure out. That was so cool. And that like also ingrained itself into my DNA. But I worked with her a little bit to develop a couple different new strategies for the DECA team, very minimally. Definitely wasn't a part of DECA the whole time, but I did it a little bit. Super, super interesting, kind of a sales intro. But more than that was the marketing and starting my own business. And so I ended up starting in high school a business called Video Productions. You can still find it on Google Maps. Occasionally I'll still get calls and I feed those to my photography and film buddies, but like Dylan and Trent. Trent, who we'll have on very, very soon. He and another good friend of ours are going to come on the podcast. Super excited for that episode. But I started this business and I had no idea what I was doing. I did not have access to social media because my parents didn't have that for us. It's all good. I was trying to figure out how to market it. I had no idea what I was doing. I ended up doing print ads and putting them in every bulletin board or like cork board at restaurants, at community centers that I could think of all over town, advertising my video business, and ended up getting a couple clients, ended up doing some pretty fun projects. Then I left on my mission. I served a 2-year LDS mission in the Dominican Republic, which, shout out the DR, super great people, taught me so much about everything. It was just like this catalyst to my life, which was super, super cool. Beyond the ability to just be away and focused on God and faith was super, super important for me. I look back on those days very, very fondly. Had some great companions, great people I met, great friends, and some people in the DR that I just love so much. A lot of them were entrepreneurs or starting their own businesses. Maybe eventually we'll have a Spanish episode where we go down to the DR. Oh, that'd be sick. Interview a couple of those guys. I would absolutely love to do that. But when I got back, I started school at BYU and didn't really know what I wanted to do, kind of outwardly. Inside, I knew 100% what I wanted to do. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to start my own business. And I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be creative and be a marketing person. So I ended up starting the prerequisites to get into the marketing program at BYU. Then COVID hit, and a lot of that got changed. I needed a job. I needed it fast. So I ended up getting my first sales-ish position at a company called Vivint. I don't know if you've heard of Vivint. You should have. If you haven't, you're living under a rock. Vivint is this tech giant. Now, they do home security, and I was doing sales, but I was doing retention sales. So I was kind of taking angry people and converting them into happy people, which is a brutal process for the people on the other end of the line. Super helpful for the customers, hopefully, where they're getting either a better deal, their problems being solved. Very, very cool. Learned a lot from that. But I had some friends that were going out to do summer sales for the first time. Classic Utah thing to go do door-to-door sales. Pretty much everybody I know has experienced it at one point or another. It's kind of a rite of passage for people in Utah that do entrepreneurship in any form who are builders. They all go through this, this staging ground, this, chemistry lab of entrepreneurship, which is door-to-door sales, and ended up doing that for a summer out in Philadelphia and Delaware. It reminded me a lot of a job I had in high school, at the end of my high school, where I was going, it was kind of B2B sales, but it was more like I was a handyman, just doing the stuff that the CEO of the company I was working for, huge shout out Jared, doing the stuff that he couldn't get to, which is super, super fun. But doing the door-to-door out on the East Coast was kind of a culture shock as far as these streets make no sense. Who designed this place? Okay, founding fathers, a lot of the old pilgrims and the first settlers of America. They didn't know the grid system that we have here in Utah, and Arizona, and Idaho. It's all good, no stress, but it was very different. And the people out there are great, most of them. Super, super cool to meet those people and experience that whole other side of the country that I'd never been to. Ended up moving from there to California. Ended up switching companies a little bit. Ended up moving to a place called Santa Clarita, California, or Valencia. If you've heard of that, a lot of the Netflix offices, a lot of the Hollywood industry, kind of the background of that is there. And it was super cool to be a part of that culture, to be out on the whole other side of the country and doing a whole different type of sale. I was working for Vivint at that time again, so I went back to Vivint. I had some really, really great people there, met a ton of very, very interesting, very smart, very business savvy people, and some of whom we're going to have on the podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them because they are some absolutely fantastic people. Beyond that, in that time, I got married to my beautiful wife, who I love very, very much. She was studying at the time to be a nurse. And because she was studying to be a nurse, she was kind of studying remotely while I was out in California. She followed me out there. No, we went out there together, and I sold, and she just kind of studied at home, did her school, ended up being a lifeguard for a little bit. Super fun time. Hung out with the other ladies out there. But push came to shove, she wasn't going to be able to leave with me for another summer. Despite what I wanted to do, it was more important for her to stay home and get her schooling done. And I had kind of finished up my schooling at that point, so it didn't really matter what I did, but I needed to be with her. So I was stuck. I needed to find a job very, very quickly. In between, I had worked for a handyman who owned a local business in Orem. Shout out Scott Harmon. Such a great dude. Definitely want him on the podcast eventually as well, because he's just like, he's a very business savvy guy, but also just a good dad. Super, super cool story for him. But I really wanted to kind of echo those same things that I had learned working for a local company. I kind of wanted to do that again. So I was searching online, sales positions, because of my door-to-door background, marketing, because that's what I studied in school. Found Jake, who from M2 Armament, who we've had on one of our interviews. Definitely go check out that episode. It was super, super fun talking to Jake about what he's building now. But he hired me on to work at a company in an outdoor enthusiasts, gotcha YouTube, industry. And he brought me on. We started a wholesale and distributor program with our good friend Andrew, and worked there for a bunch of years. Ended up moving up to be the marketing director. And as the marketing director, a lot of cool things I learned: email marketing, SMS marketing, and I was kind of doing that in the background with the wholesale the whole time. Ended up really diving headfirst into it, leading a full team of a marketing crew, and just directing how that would go. It was fantastic. It was fun to use the things that I had learned in my degree. But it came to a point where I was looking for another opportunity. I wanted to level up. I wanted to make a little bit more money. So I started looking around. And obviously, because sales is in my nature, it's what I had been doing for a long time. Not that I was ever the best at it. Not that I am the best at it. I'm definitely not. I'm working on it. But I was looking for marketing and sales were my two things. I was struggling, dude. I was at the job market, which, by the way, if you're looking for a job, I don't pity you, but I also respect the grind that it takes to even get interviews. So definitely on your side there. At that point, I signed on with a company who I don't want to talk about very much because it was bad. Went through this rigorous training course. I went through a bunch of hoops pretty much to get on with them. And then nothing happened. And I was stuck. And they had promised all these things. It sounded really good. I left my job as the marketing director at the company I was at to nothing, pretty much. Empty promises. Things that I was counting on just didn't fall through. And I don't know what's going on with that company now. I don't even know if they're still active. But it was really, really tough. And that whole time, I had seen all these people that I knew were building things, were doing things, were starting things, and I had been like dabbling in, should I focus on video production? Should I, start these social media crews with some of my friends at work? And we had done some of that stuff, and it was awesome. But I didn't feel like I was doing it right, and I felt like it wasn't progressing fast enough. And this new job was like this glimmer of hope, like, I could go do my own thing and it can work. It didn't, and it kicked me in the butt, dude. 2025 was not a great year. It was awesome for some reasons and terrible for other reasons, and the terrible reasons were kind of my own fault. I realized at a certain point that I had made some stupid business decisions. I had kind of kicked the can down the road too far for where I was and what I needed. And that sucked. It was terrible. And then came another glimmer of hope. And this one was real. Huge shout out to Gage Fitzwater. Huge mentor of mine, great friend, and someone who has built something incredible despite terrible things happening to him too. And obviously I don't care that you guys are listening to my sob story. Don't pity that. Don't say, I'm so sorry that happened. Doesn't matter. It's not that. And that's a huge Gage mentality, because he fell off a 52-foot roof. And compared to what I went through, the 52-foot roof is one heck of a lot worse, because he couldn't walk. He couldn't move hardly. And for months and months, he shattered his pelvis, all these crazy things. Go check out Gage the Greek on Instagram. He tells the story a bunch of different times, and it's all the same. And it's the coolest, recovery story I've ever heard. But he hired me on to work as a vice president at his home services company. Shout out Easy Rain, rocking the work shirt today. We do sales. I do some of the marketing. I do some of the project management. I do a lot. And one of the things that I was working on with Gage is his social media, which his social media has blown up. It's been awesome. It's been fun to be a part of that and help film some of the stuff that he's doing and be there and kind of watch him grow in that realm. But at a certain point, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I've been podcasting on the side with some of my friends for years. We haven't really focused on it. We haven't really dove into it and really dedicated ourselves to it, but we were doing it for fun. It's time for me to build something. And the coolest part about it is I can build it alongside what I'm doing every day for work. And I got this opportunity that I had been dreaming of for years. And the opportunity that I thought was going to happen back in 2025 ended up happening beginning of 2026. I just needed to be a little patient and go through some horribly hard, stupid things. And now I'm here. And I get the opportunity to build something. And despite my best efforts to build things in the past, this is something that not that I didn't care about the other ones, because I really did. I really did think they could work. But this is one that I will not stop until it works. And so far, the whole response to what I'm doing has been really, really cool. It's been really, really inspiring, and I appreciate every single one of you for joining along and listening. but also the people that I talk to about it, the random people that come up to me at Smith's, like shout out Mitch at Smith's last night, complimented this hat, ended up leading to a really cool and productive conversation about what we each do for business. He runs an e-commerce thing. Anyway, it's led to so many cool things for me, and I'm only 6 episodes in. Like, what is this? This is crazy, but I absolutely just love doing it. I absolutely think that this is something I can keep doing and will keep doing for a very, very long time. Eventually, the studio will change. Eventually, I'll be in a garage, like I keep saying. I promise you that is what will happen, and it will happen soon. I can promise you that because I'm dedicated to it. But despite having these things that have taken me down notches, brought me up notches, this knowledge that I have from work experience, mainly from mission experience a ton, and from education, it's time to do what I do best, which is talk to people. And it's time to focus on what I love focusing on more than anything else. My wife can attest to this, is builders. I love builders. And I mentioned what those are before. Business owners, entrepreneurs, construction people, salespeople, inspiring stories. I want to talk to builders, and I want to see what makes them tick. And like you guys know, I want to apply that to what I'm doing and become a better builder myself in all aspects of my life. And so that's me. That's what Garage Built is. That is where I come from. That is why now is the perfect time for me to do this. And that's why I'm doing this at all. So if you paid attention to anything I've done in the past, which I highly doubt you have, and I don't care if you have or not, it's all good. I love you anyways. I am doing this, and I love it. And I think it's an absolute riot. And I'm so grateful in a way. I'm also pretty bummed that my episode with the lady I interviewed didn't work out. Audio just sucked, and it's unsalvageable, like I said. But I'm kind of grateful that it was like that, because now I get to do this. So, yeah, I'm just pumped. I'm pumped to be here. If you are an entrepreneur or a builder of any kind like me, or like anybody listening to this episode, and you're sick and tired of carrying around business cards with you, I know I am. Like, where do I put them? Do I gotta rock a fanny pack all the time and like dish out business cards when I'm talking to people? That's fine. It's the old school way to do it. There is a better way, and that better way is Dot. Now, you've seen this in the episode because I'm rocking it on my wrist. This is the Dot Band. This thing is pretty much the best problem that I've had solved probably ever, especially because I'm a business owner and I am a salesperson. So what Dot does is it uses NFC tags and RFID to pretty much tap your phone to it, or anybody that you're marketing with. It pops up a little link. You tap that, and it brings up my business card, to the point where I can have them exchange their contact info with me from this button. They can download my contact to their phone right there, and it has links to everything I'm doing and my resume. It's got everything on there, and you can customize this whole page to your liking and network better, because it's so important to network the right way, and Dot makes it stupid easy and crazy convenient. So pick up a Dot band, pick up a Dot card, any of the Dot products. They are fantastic, and they're going to help you market better. They've helped millions of people market better and network better so far. Become one of them. Do it the new cool way and the more efficient way by visiting the link in the description below this video, or by clicking the Learn More button below. Shout out to Dot. They are fantastic. Back to the episode. Let's go on to the next part of this, because Garage Built may seem from the outside as just another entrepreneurship, another business podcast that's just in this sea of other business podcasts. In a way, sure, you could think about it that way. But it's not. I'm sorry. It's not that. It's something totally, totally different, because I don't necessarily think every builder or every entrepreneur or every business owner needs to become a billionaire, okay? That's not what I want. Obviously, that'd be cool. Great. If you make it that far, so cool. I'm stoked for you. That's like the coolest thing ever. You can bless so many lives that way. But I think there's people out there that are building things that are just as inspiring. They can be on any stage of their journey. We've talked to 4 people so far, me 5, but we talked about why that one didn't work. Talked to 4 people so far who are in completely different stages of their businesses, completely different areas of business, completely different markets. And every single one of them has had things for me and all of you, hopefully, to be inspired by, to look at and say, hey, that's something cool that person's doing, and I want to apply that to what I'm doing. That's the goal. I don't care how much money these people are making. What I care about is that they're building something, and obviously to a certain point, they're going to get paid for it. That's obviously we need to support our families. We need to bless other people's lives, and all of us want to be ballers. Okay. That's part of it. But I think it's more inspiring to just talk to people, find out where they are, find out what they're doing, and see if there's things from what they're doing that we can apply to what we're doing. Pretty easy. So my entire role here at Garage Built Podcast is a little selfishly, I get to talk to some very, very cool people about what they're building and learn what they're doing and apply those lessons to everything that I do. But B, and arguably more importantly, I get to show that to you. And hopefully you're getting something out of that. Because if this is a small way or a big way, we'll see. If this is a small way or a big way to motivate you, to bless your life by, feeding you these conversations that I'm getting to have with amazing, amazing people, and you get to apply that to what you're building and it works for you, awesome. If not, it's all good. No worries. But it's just the coolest thing ever. If you would, turn your attention to this display right here. I made this. Don't worry about this. This display right here. Do you collect Hot Wheels? Do you collect golf balls? Do you collect any sort of thing that you want displayed? Well, MassCar Displays is for you. This thing is made out of recycled plastic, and it is probably one of the coolest things I've ever spent my money on. And if you want a display like this, and if you want a display that looks as good and as clean as this one, you can go pick one up by clicking the link in the description below from MassCar Displays. They are fantastic. They are a Utah-based company, and they will treat you right. If you live in Utah, you can even locally just go and pick it up from their place up in Bountiful. Or if you live outside of Utah, you can actually just order it online and it'll get shipped to your door in like 2 days. It's super quick. These things are super, super cool, and I don't think that there's a better way to display your Hot Wheels. So, or your golf balls, or your memorabilia, or literally whatever you have, you can use these displays for it. I, of course, am using it for its intended purpose. So, pick one up at the link in my description below and get yourself a sick display. One thing that I see a lot is the internet and a lot of social media and a lot of gurus out there and a lot of tons and tons of people, they really celebrate exiting a business. You build something and you sell it to someone else and it gets absorbed by someone bigger than you and you make a ton of money and you make off and you can do your own thing. That's really cool. And I hope that everybody gets a chance to make a ton of money off of what they're building. But here at Garage Built, we're going to turn that on its head and we're going to celebrate not the exits necessarily, but we're going to celebrate the builders. We're going to celebrate the people laying the foundations for amazing things, like all the people that we've talked to so far and all the people I've got on the list to talk to upcoming. They're all builders. Garage Built is here to celebrate those who are building amazing things. And like I said, if we can take anything from those builders that we're talking to and apply it to what we're doing, great. If not, we get to hear their story. And it should inspire us anyway. My ideal vision someday would be to have someone who listens to the podcast gets inspired and builds something on their own to come back on and tell us about it. Like, that would be probably the coolest thing ever to me. And I hope someday we can get to that point. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. It's all good. We're going to do it, and we're going to find out what it takes to get there. Here's where I'm going here. I don't want this to just become another motivational podcast. I don't want this to become some like fluff that's out there. I want this to become a place where we can learn directly from people building real businesses, and we can do it ourselves. Because I don't think there's any better way to learn than to talk to people who are actually doing it and to do it ourselves. There's no better thing than experience. And this whole platform that I'm creating is to do that. So I started Garage Built because I couldn't find a podcast that was interviewing the people I actually wanted to learn from. So I decided to make one. And that's what Garage Built is. So I super appreciate all of you for listening to this episode. In my mind, it kind of started out as like, I have this filler episode. I need to kind of repent for not checking my equipment. Ugh. Freaking audio just got corrupted and it ruined the entire episode. Sucks, but it's all good. I appreciate all of you. Leave us a like. Follow this podcast. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, the most helpful thing you can do is rate this podcast. If it's helped you at all, if it's maybe blessed your life in any way, you've learned something from it, I don't care. Whatever the case may be, leave us a rating and a review. That helps our podcast get out to more people, essentially. If you're on YouTube, like, comment. If you're listening on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, or wherever you're doom scrolling, great. I'm so stoked that we get to post stuff there. I'm going to keep doing some of that. Got some cool ideas for following up with some of the businesses we've talked to in the past and in the future, kind of bringing those into the social media presence a little bit more. Look for that. Should be fun. But thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the Garage Built Podcast. My name is Ethan. Thank you. And let's get out there.